Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah visits the residence of His Excellency the Mongolian President. The State of Kuwait criticizes the international community's silence towards Israel that encouraged it to continue its barbaric aggression on Gaza. Militants withdraw from the Lebanese border town of Arsal, taking captive Lebanese soldiers with them into the border zone with Syria. And a rocket hits a large hospital in the Ukrainian city of Donetsk, killing one person and wounding others. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah paid a visit to Mongolian President Sakyajin Eldagdorj at the presidential palace in the capital Ulaanbaatar. His Highness the Emir and the Mongolian President held cordial talks that depicted the depth of the good ties bonding the two friendly countries. A friendly atmosphere prevailed in the talks, during which the two leaders discussed bilateral relations and means of boosting them in all domains, in addition to tackling ways of expanding mutual cooperation in several fields in order to serve the interests of both countries. The meeting was attended by the State of Kuwait's ambassador to Mongolia, Khalid Yatim Al-Fadli. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, on the occasion of his country's Independence Day. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, on the occasion of his country's Independence Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mbarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. The State of Kuwait criticized the international community's silence that encouraged Israel to continue its barbaric aggression on Gaza and called on the Security Council to save the Palestinian people from Israeli aggressive actions which have exceeded in its violations all norms. Kuwait's permanent representative to the United Nations, Mansour Ayad Al-Ataibi, said in his speech at a General Assembly session of the Security Council that the international community must take a strict stance in the face of the illegal policies and actions of the Israeli government to send a clear message to the Israelis: no more killing, no more destruction. Al-Ataibi added that the Security Council must act to continue working towards achieving a permanent, comprehensive and just peace on the Palestinian issue, and to stop Israel's excessive use of force that violates all international agreements, charters and norms. Furthermore, Al-Ataibi referred to the Arab draft resolution being currently presented at the Security Council and expressed hope that it would be backed as a step towards achieving calm, ending the aggression and resuming the peace process. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called for a durable ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip as a 72-hour truce held through its second day on Wednesday. Ban made the appeal at an informal meeting of the 193-member General Assembly, where senior UN officials addressed the member states on the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. He noted that the attacks over the UN facilities in Gaza as a serious violation of the international humanitarian law. He said that the UN will lower flag at half-mast today to express condolence to UN staff killed in the attack. Ban urged the two parties to come back to negotiations. Riyad Mansour, the Palestinian permanent representative to the United Nations, said Israel's invasion and occupation is responsible for the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Palestinian and Israeli delegations appeared at odds over prolonging a 72-hour Gaza ceasefire, with Israel indicating it will back an unconditional extension, but Hamas denied any agreement. Amid such talks, the war on the ground has stopped since Tuesday, bringing relief to the people of Gaza. More in this report by Majd al-Wahidi from Gaza.
As usual, Palestinians and Israelis are at odds. It comes at a time when Egypt intelligence officials are mediating with both delegations in order to achieve a permanent truce. But each party has his own conditions, and so far no agreement is in sight.
الوفد الفلسطيني المفاوض.
The Palestinian delegation is waiting for the Israeli response. There is a high Palestinian need to end Israel's aggression, but the world has to understand that Gaza has sacrificed thousands of people and destroyed houses. Gaza should get an honorable truce to end the siege and prevent Israel from committing war crimes.
But for Israel, disarming Gaza is essential to achieve any calm. And for Palestinians, ending Israel's 8-year blockade is among the most important demands. The ceasefire talks come amid global pressure on Israel to end the war in Gaza. For 2 days, there was calm. People were trying to feel normal after the break from war. However, they found devastation beyond words. Economic experts suggest losses are worth more than $6 billion.
Most of the economic sectors in Gaza have been targeted during the Israeli aggression. The targeted entities already suffered before in the previous wars. This raises a need to protect them by international law, community. Now, unemployment rates and poverty rates are at extreme. The immediate need for aids are to target regenerating employment opportunities and to provide work for those people who lost their jobs due to the destruction of the factories and workplaces.
It's not only workplaces or factories that have been targeted by Israeli forces. More than 10,000 houses were destroyed, leaving hundreds of families homeless. Poverty and mental health problems are running high. Having a lasting peace deal with no siege and no war is the only hope that Palestinians have. Observers say that this war has unfolded the complexities of the Arab-Israeli conflict. Others say that what happened was more than a war, and now it is clear enough to know who's the real oppressor and victim. Majlou Hedi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
As militants were gradually withdrawing from the Lebanese border town of Arsal today, security forces were inspecting the damage from a blast near a military post in Tripoli, Lebanon's second largest city north of the capital. The battle in Arsal has triggered unrest in other parts of Lebanon as a blast in Tripoli last night killed 1 person and wounded 11. No soldiers were harmed in the blast, according to local media sources. Earlier, unidentified gunmen opened fire on soldiers in Tripoli when they removed a roadblock being set up in protest at the army's operations in Arsal. In Arsal, militants who had captured the city after fighting that began at the weekend took captive Lebanese soldiers with them as they left and crossed into the border zone with Syria. Several dozen members of the security forces, both army and police, had been taken captive by the militants when they took the town following fighting at the weekend. At least 5 car bombs exploded at a crowded market in Baghdad on Wednesday, killing up to 51 people. 2 bombs exploded nearly simultaneously at a crowded market of the capital. Later, another car went off in the nearby neighborhood of Ur, while 2 other cars exploded in the districts of Amin and Niaria. Today, militants extended their gains in northern Iraq, seizing more towns and strengthening a foothold near the Kurdish region in an offensive that has alarmed the Iraqi government and regional powers. A spokesman for the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said some of the many thousands trapped by fighters on Sinjar Mountain have been rescued in the past 24 hours, adding to the 200,000 that had fled the fighting. Yemeni troops defending a key southern city battled suspected al-Qaeda militants for a second day today, killing at least 7 of them and raising the militant death toll from the clashes to 25. The Defense Ministry added in a statement that the clashes took place in the southern city of Sayun, one of the biggest in the province of Hadramaut. Security reinforcements have been deployed over fears that Yemen's al-Qaeda franchise might try to seize the city. Yesterday, the military said it had killed 18 al-Qaeda suspects in the clashes in the same area. Iranian and American officials met in Geneva today as negotiations resumed on a deal to prevent Tehran from developing nuclear weapons. It was the first meeting between the 2 countries since last month, when Iran and 6 world powers failed to meet their target date for cutting a nuclear deal but agreed to extend the talks until November. Deputy Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and Majid Takhshev Ravanchi represented Iran during the meeting, holding talks with U.S. Deputy Secretary of State William Burns and Undersecretary Wendy Sherman. Iran's official news agency quoted an unnamed member of Iran's negotiating team as saying the talks were meant to continue discussions on differences and to discuss ways of bridging the gaps. While in testimony before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Sherman, who is U.S. President Barack Obama's administration's chief negotiator, refused to provide a hard deadline for a deal with Iran. Liberian soldiers today set up a blockade stopping people from western regions affected by the Ebola outbreak from entering the capital Monrovia. It follows the president's declaration of a state of emergency to tackle the outbreak that has killed more than 9,030 people in West Africa this year. The military blockade is stopping people from western regions of Grand Cape Mount and Bomi, where Ebola is prevalent, from entering the capital. In Sierra Leone, the security forces have now imposed a complete blockade of eastern areas hit by Ebola. It's the world's deadliest outbreak, and a two-day World Health Organization meeting will decide whether to declare a global health emergency.
Liberia and Sierra Leone, where intense transmission of the virus is taking place. And most of the cases that have gone out of this particular intense area of transmission, that have occurred.
A mortar hit a large hospital in the troubled Ukrainian city of Donetsk today, killing at least one person as government forces tightened their grip on the pro-Russian rebel stronghold. Witnesses said that only the dentistry unit suffered damage. The hospital has provided treatment to civilian victims of the conflict. Donetsk City Council spokesman Maxim Rovensky confirmed that one person had been killed and 5 others wounded. The incident follows a night of shelling in another central neighborhood where the city council said that 3 people had been killed and 5 wounded and several residential buildings destroyed. Rebels said that Ukrainians were aiming for the Ukraine Security Service building but missed. Moscow has accused NATO of selling soap bubbles as claims of Russian troops build up near Ukraine prompts invasion fears. NATO chief Anders Fogh Rasmussen arrived in Ukraine today amid growing fears of a major Russian incursion as the alliance warned of a troop build-up at the border. Rasmussen's visit came a day after Ukrainian forces carried out their first airstrike on the pro-Russian rebel stronghold of Donetsk, as they said they were preparing to liberate the city, although they also reported their highest death toll in weeks in the face of fierce rebel bombardments. Local health authorities said 1 person was killed and 2 injured today when a hospital was hit by shelling, and the city council said overnight shelling killed 3 people and wounded 5 as government forces tightened their grip on Donetsk. And the Kuwait Stock Exchange ended today's trading in the green zone as all indices closed with gains. The weighted index reached 487.52 points, gaining 3.15 points. The price index stood at 7,186.42 points, putting on 13.97 points. And the KSX 15 reached 1,200.97 points with a gain of 11.86 points. Number of trades reached 3,403, while the total value of shares was over 14 million Kuwaiti dinars, with a volume of 109.4 million. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah visits the residence of His Excellency the Mongolian President. The State of Kuwait criticizes the international community's silence towards Israel that encouraged it to continue its barbaric aggression on Gaza. Militants withdraw from the Lebanese border town of Arsal, taking captive Lebanese soldiers with them into the border zone with Syria. And a rocket hits a large hospital in the Ukrainian city of Donetsk, killing 1 person and wounding others. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.